welcome back to another episode of Why I Love BNI, your podcast spotlighting different members in different chapters on what they love about their business, serving the community, and of course, being a part of the BNI family. So today, I'm super excited to have my guest Adam with us today. Adam, thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it.
Well, it's super great to be here, Macy. I really, it's super excited to be on your show, and I've seen a few of them already. So
Oh,
hopefully, I have something to contribute.
Oh, 1000%. Well, Adam came very highly referred from some other members that I interviewed in the chapter as well. And when Adam and I connected last week over the phone, just kind of talking a little bit about what we're doing, I was just blown away, not only about what he's doing, how he's serving his community with his business, but also the amazing amount of Giver's Gain that he is doing in BNI as well. Like the stuff that he was telling me was just incredible. So I'm super excited to learn some stuff and hopefully absorb it for my own selfish reasons. I'm sure everyone else can get something out of it too. So, Adam, why don't you kick us off? Tell us just a little bit about what you're doing and how you're helping people.
So I love, I guess I'll tell you my personal why. So I love working with local business owners that are excellent at whatever is their field of endeavor. A lot of home service-based clientele, although we work with educators as well. But these folks are really great at whatever it is they do, but they don't always have the understanding of how to market their business or maybe how to communicate their intentions to students, for example, because we work a lot in schools. So it's really a blessing to be able to go in and help those people, give them advertising agency quality on a local hometown budget is maybe the best way of saying it.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, it's super cool. So I learned this about you as well. So you do raps and everything, raps, and I'm sure some other stuff in that field as well. But I think when people think about raps, they think about cars, but you do more than that, right?
Absolutely. While we can help people anywhere in the United States with fleet wraps, and it's certainly a very big part of our business here, probably about 80% of our revenue.
Oh, wow.
We also, I say, Macy, there's really nothing outside the realm of a request that might be considered by our company. Literally over the last decade, we've wrapped everything from a set of bongo drums for a corporate retreat that they were giving out as awards, all the way up to airplanes and a little bit of everything in between. So while our mainstay is fleets, we also do a lot of architectural enhancements, like things like wall wraps and window wraps and floor wraps. As I mentioned a second ago, we do a lot for schools, but those could be things that could be in other large public facilities like gyms or libraries, other common areas. It's just amazing how a piece of art can transform culture in organization. And while we love helping and impacting local business owners, it's just super fulfilling to see the reaction from the students, the faculty, and even the parents, in these types of settings. Just amazing.
Yeah, I'm so curious. I mean, you mentioned bongo jumps. Is there anything else like that's like the most, I don't know, I don't want to say weird because I feel like that gives a negative connotation and we don't want that. But like, like what's the most interesting item maybe you might have wrapped? Or is it the bongo jumps?
So yeah, while a lot of things I say have deep meaning, every now and then we get a request to wrap a casket. Sometimes it's for
Oh,
a military person or a first responder that's maybe fallen in line of duty. We've also unfortunately, had to wrap some for children that have maybe
mm,
passed from cancer. So super heartfelt.
yeah.
It's kind of a last thing that we get to do for the family. So it has, substantial meaning to me and to the team as well. Probably a deeper so than even some of the things I mentioned previously. But yeah, to be able to do that for that family, to honor that military person, or just to show the love for a child and maybe some of the things that they loved in their life and be able to
Wow.
put that on their casket, for example, is just wonderful. And we welcome those opportunities.
Wow. Okay, that was such a sweet answer. That is so amazing. I'm sure it feels so amazing to be a part of something, so special to that family. That's awesome. Wow. Well, thanks for sharing that. I didn't even realize you could. So there's a lot of things that we can wrap that we don't even realize. And I think that's a great example, like you mentioned, of adding some things of their personality and really making sure that that person was known, because I think that's a big, big part of those types of ceremonies. So I appreciate you sharing that. Kind of sharing, switching gears just a little bit, I'd love to hear like what involves got you started. Like, how did you kind of fall into what you're doing today?
Well, that's a great question. So we started out in 2015. So we're August
Mm.
2015. I had been retired for about 6 months. My career originally was in art and design. So I'm a passionate artist. I was that kid drawing in the classroom, getting yelled at all the time. That was me. So originally I pursued a career in graphic arts and went to Art Institute in Philly. And then for years I had a sign business, very similar to what we have here now, doing signs, electric signs and non-electric signs, awnings, things like that. It was on a Saturday afternoon. I was watching a television show about automotive design, decided to go back to school, became an automotive designer, went to school, a very prestigious school in Detroit, worked for General Motors, did all these wonderful things. Part of what I did when I was in my career was vehicle graphics. When I worked at General Motors, these were pace cars and race cars, things for like the Brickyard 400 or the Daytona 500. You see those cars with the flashing lights leading the field around this track. That was something I did early on and got very well known for that. And in my career as a designer, did that over years for a variety of different race teams. And so when it came time to retire, my son, who was working at the time selling insurance for Brightway, I know there's a lot of Brightway people out there in BNI. He had a very successful career going, but we had a burning desire to be an entrepreneur. We talked about different things we could do together. So that was the beginning part of it. And we decided that we could play to my strength as a designer and as the old guy representing the company, because quite frankly, at the time he was 21. As you know, as a young person, sometimes it's hard to command authority and get respect from older people. So he applied himself very heavily into the wrap installation part of it, mastered that. And over the last decade, he's really been leading the charge, owning the company. I actually work for my son now, but I say what a
Wow.
blessing it is to be able to work with your child. We've done this now for a decade together. So as adults, to be able to spend that much time together, to be a mentor for him. But I would say this, I've learned equally as much from him. And what a blessing that is as a parent to see him come up as a leader, to see him assume the role of leader inside the company. And sometimes that's, as a natural leader myself, it's, so you got to kind of let that loose a little bit. And sometimes you got to play like the dumb guy. Maybe that's the best way of saying it, but you want them to kind of figure it out. And if you solve all your kids' problems, that's probably not going to be, that won't be a child that can solve them on their own. And so to be able to build him up as a leader, to be able to build this business probably has been my biggest accomplishment in my life. I'd say it certainly surpasses anything I was able to do on my own.
Hmm.
And as a parent, that feels really good for all the parents out there. I'm sure you probably recognize the same. So.
Yeah. Oh, well, it's really special for me to hear, given that I'm on kind of the other side. I work with my dad as well. So it's really interesting to hear a different point of view because obviously I understand my experience and how it's felt working with my family all my life. My dad owns his own business. My mom's side of the family owned a restaurant. So I was used to working with them. So it's really, really interesting to hear the other point of view when it comes to that. And I'm sure that's just so special for you to watch him figure out stuff on his own and you go, I knew you had it in you. And then I'm sure he has just so much creativity from you as well, for some creative solutions when you're in trouble. Um,
Absolutely.
so switching gears just a little bit, or again, I think I already said that, but it's okay. BNI is such a big part about what you're doing, and you do just such an amazing job inside your chapter. So many people speak so highly of you, so I was super excited to have you on. And if anyone ever watched any other episode, Bruce Ackerman, also in his chapter in Jacksonville, spoke so highly of Adam and was really saying how Adam was one of those people who just never stopped believing in the fact that BNI could help Bruce. So why don't you share just a little bit about, who was the person that invited you to BNI? How did you find about BNI?
Well, that's a great question. This was actually a person that was, her name was Shasta Curtis. And I met Shasta at the downtown council for Jacksonville Chamber of Commerce. And I had actually gone out and visited one of the groups. Scott King also had invited me, and I went and visited Scott's group. So I left with a very positive experience at Scott's group, which was about 25 members at the time. And I was like, okay, I love the concept of meeting people and networking. Thought that was great. I especially like the fact, unlike Chamber, there was this accountability factor.
Mm.
Super appealed to me. I remember saying to Scott as I was leaving his meeting, amazing. So I was at this Chamber meeting and I was pretty pumped up on joining BNI. I was ready to do it. And I met this young lady, Shasta, who her and her husband John owned the Minuteman Press that was over
Oh.
in Riverside, Avondale area. And Shasta's like, well, if you really enjoyed that, before you do join that group, I would just ask you just to come see our group. It's a little bit bigger. You might be a little intimidated. And I think at the time, our Profit Builders chapter was around 75, 80 members. So, what I found right off the gate was how welcoming our team was. I mean, how well run the meeting was. And not to say Scott's group wasn't, but like here we
Right.
are, we magnified the numbers, threefold. And if you look at just the concept of statistical analysis and like you're thinking to yourself, well, a bigger group's going to certainly bring more opportunity, just generally speaking.
Right.
So I was super excited about that, and I decided to join the group right out the gate. It's funny as I drove there because I live in Fleming Island, and BNI Profit Builders meets at the beach. And I remember driving there my first time, thinking to myself, I probably had 15 different excuses on why I didn't think I could get up that early, or I just couldn't see myself doing it every week. And after I visited the meeting, and the welcome that I got from the team, and just overall feel the vision I saw for that cast for my business. I had to join. I just had to be part of it. And now we're looking back 7 years as I'm going in my 8th year as a member in BNI Profit Builders. And just to see the trajectory of this chapter as it's continued to grow, continue to attract incredible people. It's funny, I had a one-to-one with another member just recently, and they're like, how are we so blessed to be surrounded by so many amazing people? And we really are, to be honest. And you go, well, how does that work in a chapter that big? That's probably most people's question. Obviously, we don't get the full minute that a lot of chapters get, but that also it kind of requires you to think in advance, to really have planning and strategy, to develop a clear message each week. So it
Hmm.
really it kind of that laser type focus, and I would say the culture in our organization is really the hallmark of our success. The leadership team had a vision for this thing, and the vision was simple. It was Ivan Meisner's vision, right? Because this is a great program and it really does work. And I'd say, generally speaking, if you just stick to the program, right, follow it to the T, right, it almost lines up with EOS. It's funny, our company's been working on implementing EOS this last year. As I've been looking through all the materials from EOS, can't help but think to myself that Ivan Meisner created this decades before it was ever written down by Gino Wickman, because we have a scorecard, right? That's the POMS report. And like, while we don't necessarily we do have a goal, a financial goal for ourselves and for the chapter every year. We're not necessarily focused on the thank you for closed business, because we know if we do all those activities, right, and we do them in the regiment that's required, one-to-one a week, right? Trying to bring at least one visitor a month, and that's a big part of it. And doing the CUs and et cetera. Those things will, activity wise, will generate the positive results that you're looking for. So I'd say, like, listen, as I'm saying all this to the team out there that's listening in BNI land, I'm also kind of reinforcing it to myself, because it's a new year, right? And we
Hmm.
want to go into this new year with a strategy. And I'd say those of you that are out there in BNI already that have been using this thing, I'd say my challenge to you would be like, what can you do this next year to take your BNI game to the next level? How do you elevate that? Is it doing one more one-to-one a week? Is it doing a little more activity in terms of CUs? Is it getting out to regional roundtables or getting on to the speed networking? These are all great tools. And if you're not utilizing them all, you're really cutting yourself short on what your capability is. Now, our
Yeah.
chapter, 104 members this last year, produced over $20 million in revenue, which is pretty
Wow.
spectacular. If you divide that by the members, it's an average revenue of about $189,000 per person. That's outstanding. I'm sure there's nobody out there that wouldn't be thrilled to do that in terms of moving the bar for their business.
Yeah.
Myself, I fell a little short of that average this last year. So
Well,
I pushed myself and I said, well, you know what can I do this next year strategy wise? What things can I put in place activity wise now that will generate the results that I'm looking for? So
hmm.
all that being said, one thing I would share with your team is the power of inviting, right? We talked about
Right.
before, and it's probably the area most people struggle with. I'm blessed because I'm in a business that's mostly B2B. So I meet a
Mhm.
lot of business owners, and they're all looking for that next thing to elevate their business. So if a seat opens, which is not very rare, but if a seat opens or a category is there, or like in the case of Bruce, where a category didn't even exist because Bruce's business Crusher is so unique, right? That it was an easy fit. And what I'm amazed by is that now looking back 8 years, I've sponsored 21 members into BNI, not all in my chapter. Some of them have been employees that I've for our company that I placed
Sure.
in chapters because I believe in it. in the process of doing that again now with one of my new employees and putting them in BNI Hurricane. So super excited about, and she's super excited about joining their team. But I'm looking back just around the room this last week, I couldn't help but think, there's 6 people in that group right now, and as much as I think I can do personally, I think like those 6 people and the impact that they're having, and the impact that our group has had on their lives, it's just been amazing. I mean, more than just financial, we're friends. We meet quarterly and do great things together. We have friendships that are outside of the 90 minutes of our meeting, or even getting together for a one-to-one each week. We're doing fun stuff together. So I encourage everybody out there in BNI land to not only build your network wide, but build those relationships deep. It's great
Hmm.
you did one-to-one with that person in your chapter, but if you haven't met with them in the last year, I'd say go back and meet with them again. Be top of mind. I'm sure
Right.
things have changed in their business, more than likely in yours as well. So there's lots to talk
Exactly.
about there. So, and the second thing is venture outside of your chapter. There's a great opportunities, regional roundtable, speed networking, national speed networking. There's a lot of tools available to increase your visibility and your credibility, and then ultimately your profitability, right? VCP, we talk about all the time. I'm blessed because I get to do that for businesses all day long because I'm happen to be in an advertising related industry. But everybody has the opportunity, if you're a BNI member, to create visibility, credibility, and profitability. So take advantage of all that it has to offer would be my advice this year. So
For sure. Well, Adam, thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it. I mean, it's incredible to sponsor 21 people into BNI is amazing. And I'm gonna share this with my mom because she loves inviting people to BNI. Like it's her favorite thing in the entire world. And I know she gets just so much joy out of it, and it makes me happy to see her happy. So there's a lot of great things to learn when it comes to inviting people, when it comes to watching the power of BNI unfold in front of them, right? There it's very special to see like them be like, "Oh, I know exactly what you were talking about now." So, visitors, don't slack on it, especially, when your chapter is big. I mean, your chapter is bigger than ours, like 107, you said, or 100 and
I think it's 103, 104 right
yeah,
now.
104, which is incredible, but you guys are still inviting people, and still just getting the word out there and making people understand the power of BNI. And what I would love to point out really quick is our chapter loves your chapter, by the way. I hope you know that. Our leadership went to yours not too long ago to just check out, and then they implemented a lot of the changes they loved in yours into ours, and we've loved the changes so far. But you guys, when people think of BNI and having big closed, thank you for closed business, it's really easy for us to see other people succeed and go, oh, well, the reason they're succeeding is because they have this advantage over us, or they have that over us. Like a big thing in BNI is like, oh, well, they have these big commercial people who are always like, their thank you for closed business is so big. That's why they're so big. We can't possibly compete. But I know in your chapter, you guys have a lot of very unique seats and seats that people might not think of referring to, doing business with, or checking out, but they're contributing just as much to your 20 million of thank you for closed business, just going out there being the givers that they're trained to be. And I think that's very commendable about your chapter. You guys are always out there crushing it with a great spirit, and I've loved connecting with so many people from your chapter so far.
Thank you so much.
Of
I'm
course.
definitely blessed to be in this amazing group of people. And it's great to bring more people that are amazing to the group. I mean, it's
Hmm.
talking about 2 unique seats besides Bruce that recently that I was able to through my business cultivate. So I have a gentleman that is used to work at Mercedes who started an ice cream franchise here,
Love
Millie's
it.
Homemade Ice Cream. Blair Sharp is his name, and Blair has got about brick and mortars, but he also has an ice cream truck. We've done graphics on both of those things. He actually
Oh,
has a second location in Five Points. But like we're trying to round out events. And if you look at our chapter, we're really lopsided towards home services. We got great financial, we got great business services, but events was like this little thing over in the corner, and we got a great person that does weddings, Amanda Pilati from Simply Weddings by Amanda. Um, so trying to round that off with bringing people like Blair in. We also have Olivia from Puff and Stuff Caterers. So, and then more recently, I brought another member who I'd actually worked on for over a year. It's very similar to story to Bruce. She'd come and visited the chapter, but she was a little intimidated, to be honest with you. Let's face it, talking in front of 80 people, people would probably rather jump out of a perfectly good airplane than do that. But she's really done an incredible job, and she does face painting and balloons. So I
oh,
think challenge to you folks, look out there. There's over 400 classifications in BNI.
wow.
And a lot of people don't know that. And a lot of people would probably think at 104 members that we've maxed this thing out. And I tell you, not by a long shot. I mean, there's creative things that we've done. Like, for example, we have a commercial roofer and we have a residential roofer. We have 4 attorneys in our group. So, I mean, and they all get along. Isn't that
There
amazing?
you go.
If they
Yeah.
can, the rest of us certainly can. So there's been times where we've divided seats up. Like I had a guy that came in who did. There was a guy in our group that did small computer repairs, and he was a sort of an IT guy, but he didn't do like help desk. So I was able to bring a guy in that did help desk. And
Mm.
before I even brought that member, I had that phone call with that member. So like if you have somebody that you think would be an awesome addition to your team that would just bring so much to your team, grabbing that member that has that seat right now and just having that conversation, right? Just like you would qualify a referral prior to entering it into the system, right? You want to be courteous to people that are in your chapter. So if you think that maybe there's a potential to do that, having that conversation up front prior to bringing that person. Because if it's a no, it's a no. Like I have a guy in our group that does carpet cleaning, and I had a guy that used to be in the group that did carpet cleaning that also did duct cleaning. And we want to make sure I'm courteous to that person that does carpet cleaning before I bring in the guy that says, I'm just going to do ducts and I'm not going to steal any carpet business from you. So you got to have tact about some of those
Sure.
things, and you want to be courteous to the other members.
Yeah,
But those are some of the things that I've employed in the past to be able to help grow the chapter. And listen, the more people, the more opportunity.
for
That's
sure.
ultimately what it's all about. So you certainly want to protect your seat at the end of the day, but at the end of the day, you got to have the big picture for what this other person or people
Yeah.
could do in your chapter. So
Yeah.
thinking of the overall good, not just what's best for me and my business.
Right, exactly. And that's a great way to say it. And yeah, there are a lot of unique. I know you guys have a babysitter in your chapter too, right?
Yeah, yeah, we've
Yeah. So
we've involved.
you guys have everyone. And I know when I visit a lot of chapters as well, a lot of people don't realize podcasting is a seat. So I've been on the other end of it where people go, I had no idea BNI could possibly think of a podcaster seat. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm here. And I
Oh
got
no,
it.
no, it
So
definitely is a steep. And I think
definitely.
there are as many classifications as there are right now, Macy. I'm telling you, I'm sure the ones are being created. Like for example, like Bruce that you just had on. I am certain that the people at BNI headquarters never conceived of a business classification like that. And so
You
this
never
is
realize.
evolving and changing as
Uh-huh.
business is evolving and changing, and
Mm-hmm.
and opportunities I think will continue to rise. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what is the perfect company for BNI? I'd say any company, quite
Right.
frankly, is a potential or has opportunity in the BNI thing. I mean, I think when you get outside maybe a certain size of a company, like let's face it, if you're General Motors, you probably don't need to come to BNI to promote yourself. But if you're a regional or statewide company entity out there in any of the categories that we talked about, home services, business services, financial services, or events, this is the place for you to come grow your business with the help of some friends.
Mm-hmm.
And it's amazing how this whole thing works. The giver's game, we talk about it all the time, and what an amazing concept it is to be able to serve other people. And you talk about the laws of reciprocity and the laws of the universe. I don't know where anybody's at spiritually or in their faith journey, but it's amazing to see this concept of giving to other people and how that comes back to you tenfold. It might not even come back through the same person. I'm sure you've realized this in your time in BNI, like you put it out there to enough people, you live to serve people and to help people, and it's amazing how people will come back and help and serve you.
Yeah. Well, Adam, thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it. You just bring so much value and so many great stories. And I think just like a bajillion great tips that you've shared today. But I think a big one that everyone should take away is visitors, visitors, visitors. No matter how big your chapter is or how full you think it is, it can always get bigger, but it's specifically the right people are going to come. They're going to contribute to your chapter. And it's worth it to always ask that question when you think of it, even if people say no. I've had people say no to me before and go, I don't like BNI. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But I asked because I just wanted to see if that worked for them. So, Adam, I appreciate your time today. This was so much fun. I hope you had fun too.
It
But
was a
this
great
was really
time, man.
amazing for me. Oh, thank you so
Thank
much.
you for having me on. I
Of
hope the
course.
interview will serve other members in the region, And if certainly if anybody'd like to go more in depth, I would love the opportunity to do a one-to-one. So reach out.
Awesome. Well, I'll make sure I have all of Adam's information in the description. People can click, copy and paste, reach out, do a one-to-one. You guys don't have to be in the same chapter, maybe not even in the same region. Maybe if you're more Central Florida, who knows? You never know who knows who. So, Adam, again, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it. And to everyone watching, I really appreciate you as well. And I'll see you next time. Bye.